Is WordPress the best CMS to run your business website through, or should you consider Squarespace, Weebly, or other alternatives? Stay tuned to find out. All right, welcome to the show. I'm Nathan Cheatham, and this is The First Byte, your guide to navigating IT, web, and marketing topics. I'm joined with my co-host, Eric Bierendorf. In this episode, we are talking about content management systems, WordPress versus the field. So, Squarespace, Weebly, Wix, those kind of things. What should you be using? So
what is a CMS, Nate?
So a CMS is a content management system. That's, your blog systems, your, like Amazon is technically a content management because products are a piece of content. It's,
sure. Yeah.
You've got that, or your newspapers, Times,
right.
.com is a website that has content. That's the blogs. Shopify, of course.
Right.
That's products, and I do believe they have some blog systems within Shopify as well, so that you can post about things.
So that is its own CMS, though. CMS, the general term CMS. Right.
Yeah.
So what's the counter to CMS? What is the non-CMS? What does that look like?
A non-CMS would be like just a website that is just pages. Like it's just bespoke pages that are built out with content on.
It's like Word documents posted on the internet.
Essentially, yeah. So the way websites were built way back in the day when they first started.
Oh, here we go.
Just a document that had
gather around, children.
A bunch of HTML, and it was one-to-one. So it was like what you put on that page was what was displayed.
Right.
And over time, more complex languages made things dynamic so that you could have essentially information that was held somewhere else, and you could display it in a way that might update. So like if you created a new blog post, it goes to the front page and it's shown there.
So relationally linked.
Yeah Relationship.
I'm a database guy, so we like relational database is a thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, so you're the next step up in the nerd.
Yeah. So the CMS takes the whole battery of your content and gives you a model or mechanism to relate data,
display it,
organize it, display it.
Relationship. Yeah.
Right. Did you know that? I probably told you this already, but my first semester in college was in web development.
Yeah, you did tell me that.
September 2001. September 2001.
Oof.
Yeah, I learned how to make a web page in Notepad.
Yeah, that was...
And then I soon realized that I was not going to be a web developer.
Oh, man. I remember those early classes in web design. Yeah, Notepad, anything that's like not a publishing software, because publishers put in code already.
Yeah, they're called... Have you heard of the term WYSIWYG?
Yeah.
WYSIWYG editor. So WYSIWYG is an acronym. What you see is what you get. Yep. Which is like what Word is and what Microsoft Publisher is. It allows you to move these visual elements on a page, and then the software does all the actual coding necessary to commit that, right?
Right, exactly. And it's been only in the last, I would say, 15 or so years that WYSIWYG has made it to the websites online.
It's kind of de facto now, right? I mean, yes, you can edit the code, and sometimes you have to edit the code to kind of override maybe the ignorance of the code interpreter or generator,
right? To really define your details. So sometimes you run into an issue where like you want to adjust line height, or you want to adjust your font weight. But the WYSIWYG only gives you very generic things.
We'll tell the audience what every time you mention to me when we're doing our website or we're working on the website together, and you're like, "Oh, I can just edit the CSS." What's my expression every time?
It's usually an eye roll and not wanting to get into that.
Sounds expensive,
right?
Because it's time consuming, right?
It very much can be, but at the same time, it can relieve the time, because let's say you're. And this is really getting into the weeds with web design. But say you've got all your blog posts. Say you got 1,000 blog posts, and you want to change the look of your headline on all of these blog posts.
Right.
you know, you don't want to go through each individual page. You want to just identify that element and then make that change. So with CSS, you can adjust 1,000 pages in 20 minutes. What does
CSS stand for?
Cascading style sheets.
Oh, that's so old. That's so old school. I remember that. And that is one of those related technologies across your content that allows you to apply a common theme or design element to multiple pages, right?
Exactly. And if you've been around for a considerable amount of time like we have, you remember the 90s where you'd log in with your, just after MS-DOS and Netscape Navigator was a big thing. You'd go onto your web page and it would just look like squares.
What were they called? GeoCities?
GeoCities was one of the builders back then, but you would go on to maybe the local library web page, or maybe your school had like some sort of a web page, and you would just see like sections on the site and just very basic text with like outlines around the boxes. And this was kind of like the pre or very early days of CSS where you didn't really put any style. Like there was no style. It was just blocks.
Yeah.
Just dropping blocks in. And so with CSS, you then kind of transition into what we see now, where you can put a little design to your page and make it look nice. And
so let me bring us back into the field here. So we're talking about WordPress today.
Yep.
WordPress does CSS for you. It uses CSS. Should we get off the CSS topic and talk about WordPress? What's relevant to our audience?
So with WordPress, if you're in this conversation, you've clicked on this video, you're thinking about probably your business website. Maybe it's not so great. Maybe you're looking at a remodel or an upgrade.
Every professional web developer definitely skipped this video, right?
Yeah.
Right. So
definitely.
So the audience here is, I need a website.
Maybe you're looking at an upgrade and you're considering WordPress, or maybe you're considering Shopify, Wix, Weebly, and you want to do it yourself. And so realistically, this is coming back to what is a content management system? And that's the way of displaying, and they're not equal. They're not all equal.
Certainly.
So WordPress is kind of a outlier in this field because they have an open source component.
It's open source, really?
Yeah, they have an open source component that is free. So a lot of the times, especially when I talk with clients, they confuse WordPress.org with WordPress.com, which is,
I definitely did.
Yeah, and WordPress.com is like your old school, like drag and drop GeoCities or Homestead.com or something like that, way back in the day, where like it's providing you an editor and you're dragging and dropping what you want on the page. They charge you a service fee for utilizing like plugins beyond the standard like 25. They charge you to host your website, and it can get pretty expensive, much like Shopify, Wix, Weebly can do. So in that sense, it's the field. It's all the same stuff. But what the alternative they have is WordPress.org, which is a downloadable. So you download it and you install it on a domain. WordPress has no control over it.
So it's a technology.
It's a technology. It's a software.
Okay.
That you deploy to your website, and then you build your website.
Sounds complicated.
The framework.
Sounds really download and deploy. That sounds complicated.
Well, what's nice about it is there's a lot of hosting providers that it's one-click deploy. You don't have to do anything. You go in, so
I'm at GoDaddy, I'm at SiteGround, I'm at something like that, and
especially SiteGround. If you're going this route where you're going to do it yourself or you're just learning, highly recommend SiteGround or Flywheel, WPY Flywheel.
Are these all .coms?
Yes, .coms.
Okay.
And
they take care of the deployment of WordPress for you.
Yeah, so it's, deploying WordPress to a domain it's always the same process. So with scripting and
scripting, you're saying these scary words, Nate.
Yeah, right.
Don't forget who our audience is. This is a business owner, manager, who needs a website, has a website, who has tried a website.
Absolutely. And
scripts, deploy.
Yeah. So, like when you're trying to post something on Facebook and you just type it out and you hit the post, like there's software, there's stuff going on in the background.
Right.
SiteGround and these other hosting providers have created that framework so that you can go in and visibly see, like, okay, I want WordPress, hit deploy, and it goes.
Okay.
And then they walk you through step by step on.
So they make it approachable.
Yeah, they make it approachable. It's what's nice about WordPress is there's a lower barrier for entry.
Okay.
From a knowledge standpoint.
Okay. And certainly probably, not to keep cutting you off, but you have some stats in here about WordPress. Like how prevalent is WordPress on the internet?
Right. So according to this is HubSpot, and if you scroll down slightly, here's 20 statistics you should know, and this is dated last year.
So there's a blog from hosted by HubSpot, giving us some WordPress statistics. So according to number one, WordPress is used by 43.2% of all websites on the internet. That's
all websites. So we're not talking about, CMS market share. We're talking about market share of all websites are being built right now. According to W3 Techs, which had done this in 2022, they've found the statistic, and it's an increase from 39.5%. So about 4% increase year over year to 2021 to 2022.
So as a business owner, that sounds like to me?
What?
Lower cost of ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because it sounds like more people are going to know how to use it. There's going to be a bit more support for it, more community support for it, right?
Yep.
So to me, that's what that sounds like.
So there's a massive community around WordPress as far as people who can build in WordPress, products being shipped to be deployed through WordPress, as well as even like your do-it-yourself content creators that you can go, and I call it the University of YouTube.
Right.
You can learn everything you need to know on how to create a website through WordPress.
Nice.
Through your computer on YouTube.
So I'm sold. WordPress is the way to go. Why would anybody use Wix, Squarespace, or anything else? So
the kind of from the standpoint of a business owner looking to really quickly launch their website, Wix, Weebly, they offer like turnkey systems where you can come in, input your text, and realistically, like you have some control over the look, but it's scaled back.
A proprietary system.
Oh, it's definitely a proprietary system.
Not as flexible.
That they own, they manage and control.
Right.
And if they don't like your content, you're no longer on their platform.
Right. So your website's not portable.
Not at all. So if you wanted to say, and we've had this with some clients, or at least I've had this issue with clients where they love their website, but they don't want to keep paying generally a monthly fee in perpetuity.
Right. Or a steep monthly fee. I mean, there's always monthly fees, but that last client that we won't mention, they were paying like an exorbitant fee for their website when they came to us. And
right.
Yeah. When you told me what they were paying for what they had, that was really unfortunate.
And that's what happens when you are in one of those systems where there's no portability, there's a control there.
Right.
And then they can hike up the fees. Shopify, and especially if you're doing transactions through Shopify, can get into the hundreds of dollars per month.
Right.
Just to use their software and their service, which, there's plenty of other things that we spend that kind of money on, especially credit card transaction fees, like that kind of stuff. But when it's just like, for you to have a website, I'm going to charge you, $45 a month, and you have no ability to turn that off, like
right.
Move away from it.
So it's limited.
Yeah. So with WordPress, it's generally one-time fees.
So I'm totally teeing this up because I know the answers to all these questions, but okay. So WordPress, lower cost of ownership, in that the pool of resources, when the pool of resources who can manage it are bigger, the cost of hiring a resource to implement or manage or support the system goes down. So you don't need an expert in some obscure system. It's open source. Okay, so it runs 43% of the internet's website. I'm a security expert.
Mm-hmm.
What am I going to say? What am I thinking?
How likely is it going to be hacked?
It's a big target.
Yeah.
Right. Windows historically has been the biggest attack software, right? Because it was on like 99% of PCs for a million years until Apple took some back some market share. But still, they're like, I don't know, 80% or something, right? So 43%, half the internet is WordPress. Is it safe?
So here's the great thing about it. WordPress is built, and you hear me say this all the time. You want a functionality? I say there's
plugin
for it.
Plugin, right?
Right. So think of WordPress. It's like a framing system that you then bring in all the functionality you want.
A website operating system.
Yeah, in a way, I would probably
plugins
say
being apps.
Yeah.
So it's a maybe relevant analogy, or
I think that you could make that claim of like it's the operating system, like if you think like Linux or something like that line where it's like it's the environment everything's in.
Okay. So
and then when you want a functionality, especially security,
right,
you have a plethora of.
It's interesting. Plethora.
Yeah. Plethora.
You sure it's
options.
not plethora?
Sure.
Potato. Yeah. That's funny. All right, so it's the website operating system. That's the analogy I'm going to go with, but it's a platform.
Mm-hmm.
Runs 43% of the websites. It's definitely a big attack surface. But you're saying there's security plugins.
There's tons, and there's a lot of them, so that you can pick and choose the best ones.
Mm-hmm.
As a hacker, you don't necessarily know what security platform they're using.
Right.
So
okay, so there's security plugins.
Mm-hmm.
What if I hire a web developer to bootstrap my website, get me going, and it's up and running? I got my billboard site up, I got my profile up, my products and services up, my contact information, a contact form. I'm good to go. Thanks, Mr. Web Developer. We're good. We're gonna go it alone from here.
So I would highly not recommend that with WordPress, or really with any technology. And we're technologists. We're Evernet Consulting. We run with IT, and we're handling these technology all the time. You always see that there's updates. There's
the copyright in the footer.
Well, the copyright in the footer is just kind of like your canary in the coal mine.
Yeah, it's a signal, right? Every time I see an outdated copyright, I'm on the website footer, I'm like, oh.
And it also
they fired the web guy.
It also means the web guy probably wasn't that good.
Or girl.
The web person, it was probably not that good, because there's just really quick code that you can put in there that'll just keep it that date.
You'll just check the current date and just update the state.
and update.
Is that a plugin?
Actually, no, it's that is code. So you would need to know what you're doing there. No, you don't want to break up with your web developer. But what is nice about WordPress is that it becomes more of a monthly maintenance of a few hours to just manage the plugins that you have to use, because there's always new software, there's new vulnerabilities,
right,
that have to be patched. And so the longer you let your website stay static, the more the chance of just a catastrophic crash happening. And that's not to scare you to like not do it.
So I run a law firm, and my website's not a major source of new business for me. It's more or less a lookup for people looking to know where to send me some filing or something. Or at least that's what I think of my website. I'm got the website up, haven't thought about it for 3 years.
Yeah.
Start getting phone calls from people saying that there's pornography on my website.
Right. Well, that's where the vulnerabilities come in, and
or it's redirecting to a competitor or some other non-pornographic, but some other.
People can kind of take control of a domain or a website out there, because yes, there is a surface, like an attack surface.
Exactly. Oh, that's a security term.
Yeah. That.
Well done, sir.
That's. I'm learning.
Yeah, you are.
And so essentially, it's all public. So people that are, you would call like bad actors are out there.
Yeah, for
looking.
Sure. And a lot of these attacks are automated even.
Right, exactly. So it's not like they're like, oh, let's look up,
right,
lawfirm.us and,
right,
go after them. But, there's bots that scour the internet that's attached to Google and those kind of things.
How about this gem? your website infects your visitors with a virus.
Right.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen. An unpatched website. I don't know if it was a WordPress at the time or not, but an unmanaged website, compromised. When you land there, seems to provide the relevant information to the company or the firm, and hits a little pop up, and it looks very, very appropriate and relevant to the relationship of the lander, which is usually a client or a vendor or some business colleague or something. Hey, thanks for landing here. You're going to need this in order to call us, or blah blah blah. Right. Bags your visitors with a virus, all because you're not managing. Again, I don't want to use FUD and fear and uncertainty in a self-serving way, but point is, it's not a static resource. You don't just put it up there, forget about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, now what happens if that person downloads the virus, has it infect one of their accounts, and then let's say they lose financial resources? Who's liable for that?
Yeah. Well, there may be case law for that, and it may be the website's owner, maybe not. To be honest, I don't even know what the case law is on that,
but do you want to be in that situation?
No,
not at all. And so that's why creating, and this is, I always say this, is creating a website just to sit there. What's the point? As business owners, even if you're not looking for new business,
right?
This is what I love. Website do something for you. Automation, that's where WordPress excels beyond anything out there, because you create website automation and workflows and tasks for it that, as a user comes in, that you can know, like, hey, they're whatever little menial task that I would have had to do with that user, say it's client intake or customer management, something along those lines. Like, there's ways of integrating with WordPress that cut your time down.
The amount of clients that I see not using their website for client intake is astounding. And I try to tell them all the time. I try to tell our clients, like, your website is a part of your business process.
Yeah,
it's not just an advertising vehicle. It's not just a directory lookup. It's not like, here's our phone number and mailing address.
Right, and even then, people are looking for you, but if they don't know who you are, their website is how they find you, as far as like how you create yourself to be more searchable. This is getting to search engine optimization,
SEO, yeah.
And so think of like the industry you're in. What would you want your ideal customer to type into Google and you pop up?
Right.
And so utilizing the content part of CMS, your blog posts, your pillar page copy, which is the, just the regular landing pages, like when someone lands on the home page or a services page. I've had clients, not just one. I've had several clients tell me, I don't need a website because I have all the business I can handle. Right.
So what other use case or benefits, and maybe this is trite, maybe in 2023, our viewers, a business owner, business manager doesn't need to hear this. Maybe it's an eye roll, but what are the other benefits? If it's not for new business, how else can a website be leveraged for the business or for the organization?
Well, okay. So like, let's say you've got a lot of calls coming in. You got a lot of people asking, like, you're a lawyer. I want your services for X thing. How much you charge? And so you're filling 20% of your day with just answering your pricing. So one thing that Evernet actually is installing on our website is a pricing calculator that automatically they can pick through. But
so many professional service providers, not all of them, but so many professional services, they don't like putting their pricing on the website.
Right. And that is,
we view it as a strategic position.
Yeah.
So we think that if you're coming to an IT or if you're coming to an IT company's website and they don't have their pricing on their website, that just means they want to get you on a sales call, that they can just see how much juice they can squeeze from the berry, right?
Right.
Why not just put the pricing out there? I mean, it's all marketable.
And I think that's definitely like even another show,
right?
On just like visible pricing and everything. But let's take this from the standpoint of you're doing this call 20% of your time. And, maybe you don't think it's annoying, or maybe you think
maybe those calls are coming in because it's not on the information. You're saying there's information
you can put on your website in a way that, so generally putting just standard pricing of like, I do 150 an hour or whatever, might not be as customized to the person that's coming to your website. And so you need, with the automation that WordPress or, this can allow, the ability for a custom estimate or custom quote to be...
Are you talking about our pricing configurator?
Yeah. Created. But then they click send, it goes to you. And now when you get on a call, you're not spending the first 10 minutes just saying, what do you need? What do you need?
Right.
You're going right into, okay, I'm looking at your estimate, and now you're streamlining your calls, and maybe instead of 20% of your day, you're now down to 10%.
Let me offer this, right? So pricing aside, okay, let's say the viewer out there is hard no, I'm not putting my pricing on the page.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So one thing that I use my website for is a onboarding mechanism, right?
Yep.
I love this stuff about the website. When we got into this a few years ago, it's a sales and account management tool. Mm. So when I get on, all of our relationships start with a discovery call with me. Yep. Personally, I talk with the prospective client what their needs are, and you take the discovery calls for our web and marketing services. So during that call, you're just listening to pain, and you're listening to problems, and you're just seeing if there's an alignment of an offering that we have for that, right? But I don't know if you know this or not, but what is the thing I always say? What is the thing that always is asked of me at the end of a discovery call that's going to lead to a new client?
How do I get started?
Yeah. Right. And so again, not only we view our pricing on our website as a competitive advantage and differentiator, but we built a custom account setup wizard, i.e., an intake.
Yeah.
It's not a unique idea, but we have that right on our website. And when a new client's coming on board, they can enter in their information as it appears in our system. They can make the declaration of who they are, what their business information is, all of the stuff that we need for the paperwork. Also does our contracting process. Mm-hmm. It also makes the necessary disclosures that we have to make to the client, declares the fine print pricing, the terms of service, and it is all readable in a page by page by page. I think it's like a maybe 10 page or 7 page account setup wizard is what we call it.
And do you take payment through that as well?
We don't.
Okay.
But there are systems and businesses out there that may be appropriate. Mm-hmm. What our account setup wizard does, and not that this is about us necessarily, but our account setup wizard just basically gives it the opportunity. We don't want to do double data entry, right? From a business imperative, like anytime you can have your client enter their information, rather you entering their information, you reduce the opportunity for misinformation and errors and stuff like that. But you're also saving on cost, pushing that back to the client as appropriate, and that's an appropriate thing these days. So they're entering their information. They're making, this is the primary contact, the billing contact. We're making the disclosures. Here's the support plan, or they're choosing the support plan and the services that they want. We're making the pricing disclosures, the terms of service disclosures, things like that. When they click, they sign. There's a little signature thing. And then when they click submit, they're sending that data from our website. It's going right into our business management software, our practice management software. So if you're a law firm, it's called practice management software. If you're a healthcare industry, healthcare provider, you have some management software. So every business has a management software. You can even call it CRM. CRM is
client relationship management,
which we'll do a video on, I'm sure. But so that when they click submit, it's going right into our system. And it's just doing the account management. I think we've got it to the point where it's doing like 90% of the account setup and account management for us.
So prior to this system, how long did it take you from discovery call to intake of the first payment?
Prior to leveraging the website?
And I would point to our audience too. How long does it take you to go from a discovery call to, the first payment hitting your account? And
you have to understand that some business types, the transaction timing sometimes is at the onset of the relationship, sometimes it's after service delivery, so something like that. So the payment receipt is maybe not the question, but more or less like how long
triggered the relationship, like that you are now, it's now a client
we're really in the
customer.
weeds here, but this is all website related, right?
It is.
Because the whole point is, if you don't want to use your website as a sales tool or to get new business, you can use it as a business efficiency tool.
Yeah.
And that's what you're sussing out of me right now. Our account onboarding process prior to leveraging our website and building this account setup wizard and integrating it with our practice management software and et cetera, it was like a half day. It was like a half day administration, which is a lot.
True. Yeah.
It's a lot of time I'm paying for an account manager. And I give everybody an hour of my time for free. I'm happy to do it. I love meeting new people.
Mm-hmm.
I love hearing about the challenges and successes that people are having in business out there. So I'm happy to do that. But then when it's like, how do we get started?
Yeah.
And it was like this really kludgy, uncomfortable administrative process, sending quotes and this back and forth, bop, bop, bop. And you're breaking that engagement. You're breaking that love gaze that you're forming with your new client, with okay, we're going to hang up the call and I'm going to send you a quote. You're going to look at it. I'm not going to be on the call with you when you look at it. And there's some, so anyways, it was a half day in account administration.
And that's probably pretty streamlined for what is out there, especially when you describe like back and forth with proposals. Oh, I want to tweak this. Maybe I don't want that. But now you've got it down to within your call.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in a discovery call, if a client is convinced, if I'm successful in the discovery call, I've succeeded in an hour earning your trust. Hopefully by then you've looked at our Google reviews. We're the lead, we're killing it with Google reviews. We just have our clients love us,
right.
and for good reason. I built this business on integrity and I've built this business on value of product, right?
Yeah.
So if I've succeeded in this discovery call, you're going to say, how do we get started? I'm going to say, are you at it? I always say the same thing. Are you in front of an internet connected computer?
Yeah.
And the answer, if it's yes, I said, it's going to take another 7 minutes and I can get you onboarded right now. And it's always like, what? Like that's, It's just so easy because one of the barriers of getting a new client for us is that fear of like, just like in bed with this devil I know already, or I'm already doing it this way. And it's like, I know we've just had this conversation because my we're talking to you about websites. We're talking to me about the IT needs and, business function needs. And, so like it was really important for me to just make it really comfortable and really easy to feel like you can move away from your current web and marketing resource. You can move away from your current IT resource, and that's what this does. And that's all powered by your website.
Exactly. And so now you've taken a half a day, shrunk it down to 7 minutes essentially.
Yes.
And so,
maybe after they click submit, we do have about probably 15 minutes of admin work. After click submit.
But I mean, comparative
significant
to what it is. So, and that's one example. And there is so many, especially with WordPress, where it's like, okay, now when you get on a call with me and we're talking, okay, and you're really open, people will shut down sometimes. And when they don't know what they don't know and they don't, but if you're open to finding out how your website can really streamline processes for you,
right? And
we start going through different aspects of your site or of your daily workday routine, there's lots of ways that aren't specifically let's boost your sales, let's boost your visibility.
Well, I'm thinking of another client you're doing a website for that they're a research company.
Yeah.
Okay, so they don't have sales.
Right.
They don't have clients. So what kind of benefit and I'm thinking of the partner onboarding.
Yeah.
Right.
So in the sense of like, you
could even be an HR. It's you could tie it in. We
tie it into HR, and that's what we've actually done.
We do that. Yeah.
So from the standpoint of I bring on subcontractors, which you
have an intake form for the
I've got
subcontractor.
An intake form on that pulls in allows them to give their information, give their direct deposit. It then is an encrypted email that goes out to the HR manager, Susie, and from there, like that process is done, and I can start giving work to this, So we're
really nerding out over websites, right? But
absolutely.
So WordPress is powerful. It's the predominant. It runs half the internet. We just sorry.
And the market share, talking within CMSs, content management systems, is 65.2% in 2022 out of the, Wix, Squarespace, Joomla, Shopify.
Right.
Those are the kind of the major, the top.
So it's running
leaders.
43% of websites.
Yep.
It's running 60 some odd percent of CMSs. 65% of CMSs on the internet. So it's basically running the internet.
Exactly.
Wow.
So I guess your question would be like, why not a Wix, a Squarespace, a Shopify, and why WordPress outside of it's got all the market share. Sometimes the diamonds in the rough, the little guy, can be better than the bigger player. We did talk about how the ease of creating with a Wix or a Weebly, but they don't have anywhere near the power to run what we were just talking about as far as intake forms. They
probably have some measure of a solution, but it's probably just not robust enough. It's not flexible enough.
You would almost have to custom make it.
Or the business owner, when he hears custom, it's just
that's my scary word. Whenever you come at me with, "Hey, I really want the site to do this,"
it's just expensive,
and I go, "Well, yeah, we could do that. Let's talk custom.
Custom is expensive.
I can bring in a developer.
I'm out.
Now we're talking $5,000 just to get started. I've gone this route with so many people before with tools or things for a site that just don't exist, and you have no choice but to create it. And if you're talking a internal US developer, set aside $50,000, no matter what it is you're going to do. And if you want to go outside of the country and resource someone, say from, India or, where they charge less, let's talk about the admin fees of just making sure that they do what you want,
Yeah. So let's put a bow on this. So our viewers, they're definitely not WordPress developers. They're definitely not web developers. Our viewers are business owners, business leaders, business decision makers. They may have a website that's not on WordPress. They may be using one of these other CMSs that we talked about. Traditionally we're vendor agnostic as an IT company. Mm-hmm. We are total fanboys of WordPress.
Yep.
If you are struggling with your website management, if your website was recently compromised or hurting your brand, if you don't have a current web resource that's helping you with your website, you're probably, the advice that we give you is you want to think about moving your website to WordPress because it's the lowest total cost of ownership. Yep. It's the easiest way to get the website up, supported. It's the most extensible, most flexible. What else can we say about it?
Yeah, and it doesn't manage what content you put on there, like other, Wix, Weebly as platforms. Right. That if they don't like what you sell, they can deplatform you.
Oh, that's a point you're trying to make. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's.
So no content moderation.
Yeah, you're in control of what you sell and what you do on your site in this aspect. One of a popular there's two popular industries right now growing: gambling, sports betting, that kind of thing,
right,
and then marijuana. There's multiple states. Federally, it's illegal.
Mm-hmm.
I think in both cases. I'm not sure about the gambling. What the
gambling is at the state level,
right?
The states view that the regulations,
right? But so take a company where they're moderating U.S. wide,
mm-hmm.
and they might say, "Well, we don't have the capacity to regulate whether you're in Colorado and this is legal versus you're in Illinois and this is illegal, so we're going to ban this from our platform."
Right.
And now you've built a business around your website that has this, component to it, and they make the decision to pull it out from underneath you.
Right.
And now your sales have stopped. You have no basis of anyone finding you because your website's gone.
Right.
And you have to start from scratch.
Right.
With WordPress, you never have to worry about that.
Right. You maintain a backup of your WordPress.
Yeah.
So if SiteGround shuts you down, or so you have any, I mean, I don't think a lot of our clients will have, I don't want to say nefarious, or certainly not nefarious. They won't have, they probably won't be running afoul of gambling and marijuana laws.
Well, those are very specific, but there are things like, we live in an age where, and I don't mean to get any sort of political.
Don't go there.
There's government regulations, and if you are, if a law comes around that just might be a little bit gray in your industry, you're no longer in control of your content.
Right. So I mean, to take again, I don't think a lot of our clients are operating in that space. So the value I'm sugarcoating it.
Yeah.
Okay. The value is portability.
Absolutely.
And control. Portability and control. We could leave it at that, I think. So we actually, you and I, when you joined our team, you and I had this exact conversation. I don't remember, I don't know if we were on WordPress or we were WordPress with another host. I don't know. We were somewhere in between. It does seem like every time I hired a new web developer, they always want to redesign the site. Mm-hmm. I can't say that we won't say the same thing if a business comes to us and looking for website support. Certainly, if you're not on the WordPress platform, you want our support. We are going to nudge really firmly that you explore the WordPress platform. It may result in some sort of rewrite. If you have a robust website, the copy's there, so it should be a manageable project. So yeah, I mean the focus of this video today, I use the term fanboy. We're being fanboys because we clearly are a fan, kind of nerding out on WordPress right now. We are throwing some shade to non-WordPress sites. I won't take the position of total disdain for non-WordPress CMSs. You may, and I don't want to speak for you. So yeah, I mean, just trying to share with you guys that WordPress, and you may be the one to say this more than me, but WordPress is more than likely, I mean, certainly by half of the internet standards, they've chosen WordPress as the technology to run your website. Your website can do a lot more than just be a sales tool. It's a business tool. So if you have any questions, or do you have anything to offer that before I just kind of lead in? If you have any questions on your website, schedule a discovery call. You're going to meet with Nathan. Mm-hmm. Nathan will talk to you about your current state of your website, your goals with your website. I mean, even if it's just to make sure that you always have an updated footer, you know what I mean? Or
absolutely. So also, we're going to link in the description below. Evernet has a website audit, so you can go download this free audit, and it gives kind of the bullet points of a checklist where you can kind of say, like, I have this, I don't have this, I need help with this. And from there, we can talk through that in a discovery call that I'll be in. So thank you for your time today with this video. Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel, and look forward to talking to you next week.
Yeah, make sure you follow us on your preferred social media. We're Evernet CO on all the major platforms, I think.
Yep.
And if you have any questions, schedule a discovery call with Nate.
At evernetco.com.
Evernetco.com. Thanks.